Good morning and welcome back to another Saturday morning coffee episode. I hope you've got your iced coffee to survive the summer with me. Lord knows I do. Thankfully, our heat wave is coming to a close, and it went from being unbearably hot to I had to put a blanket on last night. So I'm not trying to be mad about that change, but it was a very sharp change. Anyways, I wanted to start with a quick note. After reviewing my notes from the last Saturday morning coffee episode, I realized that I actually forgot one of the quirks that Faith put on my sheet. And this one is that I carry a notebook with me everywhere at all times, and I always have at least 5 to 10 notebooks laying around the house in various stages of being written in, of a few pages or almost full notebook kind of thing. It kind of goes back to my list thing. Like, I've got lists all over the place. I've got lists in every room. It's just it helps clear my brain, helps me think, helps me get everything out and stay organized. And for the most part, I actually know what's in each of these notebooks, even though each notebook is multiple different topics. And I don't know. It's just something I have gradually relied on more and more the older I've gotten. And so at this point now, I've just got these notebooks everywhere. And I know it's a lot. I want to condense down to fewer notebooks, maybe like 2 or 3. But it's really hard because I can't just throw away a notebook. I gotta get all the way through it. So I'm hoping to condense in the future. But right now, I just have those, like I said, up to 10 notebooks, a couple in each room, and I always take one with me. I also always take one with me when I go and play Lorcana. It's a trading card game that's almost a year old now, and you can think of it like a Disney version of Magic the Gathering. So I always take one with me to write notes there and update my decks and stuff about how performance is going. So anyways, that was just the quirk that I forgot for last week that I wanted to share. I also wanted to bring up that I have been I talked about wanting to do recaps of podcasts I listened to that I found really interesting, things that I might have learned and wanted to share. But the problem is I have been taking this prep course to get my CAPM exam certification, and what that is just it's like the entry-level project management certification. I've been studying for that at work, and so all of my audio time has gone to listening to this prep course for that exam lately. But I finished up that exam, and I had something even trying to listen to a couple episodes of podcasts here and there, I still ended up with 60 podcasts in my queue at the start of this week. And I get about 10 to 15 new podcasts to listen to each week. So I don't have anything and I didn't focus on any of my I didn't focus on any of my educational podcasts. So all I did was listen to my podcasts, Not Another D&D podcast, Boyfriend Material, Morning Somewhere, Avatar Braving the Elements, which is a rewatch podcast of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and some other podcasts I listen to purely for entertainment, because I didn't have time to focus on something to learn. So I'm hoping that I get something good to talk about next week. That's more something worthy to share on here. I've done pretty good about listening to a lot of episodes this week. After I finish that course, I'm down to 24, so I probably listened to about 30 30 to 40 podcasts this week, thankfully. Which I'd say it's a little on the heavier side. I think I usually do about 20 podcast episodes a week. All my regular, I'll listen to almost all the episodes that come out from my regular podcast, and then I try to find something new once in a while to just go around and listen to new things. Like I said, I just love podcasts. And it used to be that I couldn't go a day without listening to music. But then, like, after I discovered podcasts and started making one myself, I realized that I couldn't really go a day without listening to a podcast. So I guess it was a natural evolution to then get to the point of making my own podcast, right? But I just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about podcasts that make me so obsessed with them, or enjoy this so much. I think, I don't know. But anyways, I guess let's move on to the meat of this episode. So there is a New York Times series being made right now called Animals. And it's about a guy who is, he's like traveling around and having experiences with his favorite animals. He did an episode on his dog. He did an episode on bats. He did, puffins, wolves, and some other animals so far. He's got 6 episodes out so far. And it sounds like it's going to keep continuing on, which it's really fun because it's not like a podcast where you're sitting down and you're learning about this animal. Instead, you get a little bit of that, but then you get just as much like him describing the experience of like interacting with this animal. And I love this. It's almost like a novel approach. I don't really see that from YouTube and podcasts that are like animal focused, and so I really appreciated it. And so I have been thinking, like, if I was able to do it, how would I what animals would I do this on? And so I came up with my list of 5 favorite animals, and then what I would maybe want to do with those 5 favorite animals. And so obviously top of the list, number 1 is my dog Sissy. How could she not be there? But what I would do with Sissy is I would do what I call a sensory and sniff walk. And so this kind of started out of therapy as a sensory walk and walking my dog. And so like a way to relax and just like take in my surroundings. And so what you do is you just walk and you mentally tell yourself everything that you hear, smell, you see, just like so you're using your senses to recognize what's in your surroundings and be present and process that. And then you tell yourself that, and it helps ground yourself and just like, helps you with anxiety and stress and that kind of thing. And so the sensory and sniff walk would be that I do that sensory walk and I just let Sissy's nose guide us. She's a hound, and so she's got she's got a pretty good nose going on for her. And so I would just let her guide us on the walk wherever she wants to go. If she wants to go to her normal park, or if she wants to take a walk down by the creek, whatever that might look like, I would just let her lead us, and I'd use a lavalier mic to talk about what I'm seeing, hearing, smelling, whatever I'm processing, and I think it'd actually be pretty interesting. Lord knows Moscow is an interesting place. The second one, I'm going to lose some people. I lost faith on this one because she's not a fan of these animals, but chickens. I have always loved chickens. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it started, but my entire life, I have always wanted to have a chicken. I have looked when I was growing up. My mom had huge reservations. She was like, I don't know, like it's a lot. It's like a lot of extra responsibility. I don't even know if we're allowed to have him here. So then I did. I was like, oh, if she doesn't know we're allowed to have him here, I will go and research like local ordinances to see if this zone is permitted to have chickens. Turns out we were permitted to have chickens, but I never did get my chicken growing up, and so I wish I could identify what it is about chickens that makes me love them. I have been told they are, a nightmare to work with, and it's just not worth it. But when I get older, and if we, so I have this like idea of like living in the city, raising kids, so living in the city like 20, 25 years, and then moving to the outskirts, to let life slow down a little bit as I near retirement. And I would not be surprised if that at that point I get a little coop and some chickens. Chickens are also so my favorite genre of game is a farming game. I will sit there and play Stardew Valley or Coral Island or my time at Portia and Sandrock. I will sit there and I will raise chickens every damn time. I love it. So anyways, what I would do with these guys is that I would visit a small family farm with a lot of chickens to hear stories about like what it's like to raise chickens, the challenges of it, things people don't really recognize, understand like some of that history of like how our food comes to us, and farm to table kind of thing. And then I would try to attend a poultry showing. So it'd have to be done around like fair time, I guess, to try and just like understand like, okay, this is a small family farm. Their kids raise chicken for 4-H or something, and I want to just see like what goes into like a poultry showing. How do people judge what makes a good chicken, that kind of thing. I think that could be pretty fun. This third one, we'd have to fly international, but I want to see and interact with a capybara in nature. This is the world's largest rodent, and they are absolutely adorable. If you've never seen a capybara, I need you to Google it. And I'm hoping the first image you see is the capybara sitting in a spa with a small orange or a cutie. I don't know. I don't really know the brand name. I don't know like the generic name, but a cutie sitting on top of their head. It is adorable. But I would want to fly to South America and see about like a nature tour, and try to see these majestical beings outside of captivity. They're extremely social animals, living in groups of 10 to 20, and they are very comfortable around humans. Whether that's just poor natural instincts, or that's because they've just evolved to be that way as human society has taken over the world. I don't know, but that would actually be a good thing to look into. Is like, were these creatures always so friendly, or were they, they just co-opted this human friendly behavior as as society developed. But I don't. I think what I love about capybaras are that, all their social dynamics that they hold. They're very social beings, very chill, and they're just. Oh, sorry about that alert. Um, I I yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to for me. Why I like them so much. Sorry, my train of thought totally went away with that notification. Um, but yeah, that's what I got for capybaras. This next one is red pandas. Um, they are another one of my favorite animals because they are again they're adorable and they look like a raccoon. Yeah, they look like a raccoon. They're from Asia, and they're if you've never seen them, they're red, and they kind of have like this almost bear-like face. So just imagine, if you would, uh, a red raccoon mixed with a little bit of a panda face, and that's what you get with a red panda. So these guys are actually endangered, and so I would love to do like an interview with a representative from the World Wildlife Fund and ask them about the red pandas and what they're doing to try and um, uh, build conservation methods. And so after I would talk to the World Wildlife Fund, I would try to find a conservation zoo with like a release program or like a rescue thing, because I have a really tough time being okay with zoos unless they're a nonprofit, and b their main purpose is either to rehabilitate and then release, or they serve as like a rescue zoo for animals that cannot be returned to nature. Like for instance, bears, at least here in the US, if they end up relying on like if people give them too much food and stuff, they end up losing the ability to hunt, and they will just continuously pester humans to get food from them instead. And so those kinds of bears either have to be killed or turned over to a conservation a zoo to take care of them, because they can no longer feed for themselves and they'll just continue to be a nuisance. And so if I could find a zoo like that had red pandas, I would want to go to them and like talk to zookeepers about like the daily life of a red panda, and try to understand like what kind of life that a red panda can live inside of one of these kinds of zoos. And so being able to understand like those two different levels of conservation efforts with the red panda. And then my fifth favorite animal is the red-tailed hawk. And as a kid, I had no idea what I would like. People are asking, "What's your favorite animal?" Like they ask every kid. And I was like, I don't know. Ask me my favorite video game, and I could tell you, or my favorite cartoon. But so for the longest time, my default answer was a red-tailed hawk. I have no idea where I learned about a red-tailed hawk. And B, I don't know why I started saying it. I had probably just watched like a nature show or something, and that was the first animal that came to mind. And so after the first time that I remember being asked that, it just became my default answer. That's probably what happened. And so it became the red-tailed hawk for a long time. And at this point, I still say it's one of my favorite animals. Because I do think hawks are badass. So what if I want to do with this? I would want to meet up with a falconer who works with a red-tailed hawk, and just kind of talk to him about what it's like to work with one, what it's like to be a falconer, and like kind of like any kind of like experiences or stories they might have about it. And then I would want to learn falconry myself, like take a lesson and just kind of like talk about my experience of learning how to how to like call a hawk, or I wouldn't take like a bunch of lessons, so I have no idea what lesson 1 would cover. But that's probably all the time I would have. So maybe that part actually wouldn't be that exciting, and it would be more so just talking to the falconer about their experience, and then like going with them on a hunt and talking about what I'm observing as that red-tailed hawk is making their hunt, and what that falconer is doing to trying to command the hawk. And so there you have it. Those are my 5 favorite animals: sissy, chickens, capybaras, red pandas, and red-tailed hawks. What are your favorite animals, and how would you experience them? That's what I would take away from this episode to think about, because I think this exercise really helps me think about like a little bit of a creative opportunity to like think beyond just the standard that you see in other content spaces about animals. And so it was really fun to try and like look around and see what opportunities actually existed out there for interacting with these animals. So that's it for Saturday Morning Coffee. Thanks for joining.